For those of you watching still lucky enough to have a pension, you'll have a big decision to make when you retire, a decision that you will have to live with for the rest of your life. So what is it? How do you make such a monumental choice? We have Safe Harbor Retirement Group President Cory Sickles here in this sponsored segment with some advice on this. Good to have you back, Cory.
Glad to be here, Robin.
All right, let's start with the basics. Let's start with what is a pension, right? If people obviously have one, they're usually familiar, but what is it? What are the two main options that you're talking about when you retire?
Yeah, so option number one, which is what a lot of people probably kind of lean towards, but we'll kind of talk about that, and that is be able to receive some type of monthly payment for as long as you live.
Okay.
Now, a couple things with that. You do usually have an option to be able to do what we call a single payout, which means it's good as long as only you live. Or if you're married, you can do a joint payout, and then both of you are going to receive some type of monthly compensation for as long as both of you live.
Okay.
The other option you have is to take a lump sum, which means instead of them paying out a monthly payment every month, they're going to give you a big large lump sum, and then you have to manage that for as long as you live in order to generate income.
Okay, so you have to make the investments. You have
Yes.
to decide what to do with it, if so. And then, so I would say, like, if you're getting the monthly payments, like, that sounds pretty straightforward, right? Do I want to just have this almost budgeted for me, or do I want to make the decision? But you say it is more complicated than that, right?
It is complicated because, a couple things. If you do receive a monthly payment, then normally what happens with those is you don't get a cost of living increase. So you're not going to be able to keep up with inflation. That's probably the first part of it. If the company that you're receiving that would happen to go bankrupt at some point, not today, but could be 10, 15 years, then you're going to probably lose a large portion of that payment as well. So it's something to kind of think about there. And normally what we kind of see is, do you have other type of income that would allow you to take the lump sum so you're not dependent on that monthly payment?
Okay, so, and this is what I'm wondering. What are the benefits to doing one or the other? Like, are certain people geared towards, hey, I'm going to do the lump sum, but other people say, like, that may not work for me? Like, how do you decide that?
I mean, a lot of times when someone comes into the office and we start discussing that, for example, if you don't have a whole lot of retirement savings, then odds are you're going to have to go to the lump sum. I mean, not the lump sum, but you're going to have to go to the monthly payment.
Okay.
Right?
To give you something each month. Okay.
Exactly right. But if you actually, work with an advisor and maybe now the time's come, you've been working with them 5 or 10 years, and, we can look at your, maybe you have Social Security, you have other investments, and it could make sense to take a lump sum because you have other things that's going to cover your monthly budget.
Okay.
Right? Because let's face it, when you take a lump sum, you might not have a whole lot of retirement savings, but you might need extra money throughout life. Air conditioner goes out.
Yeah.
You have health care issues. You're going to need money at some point in time. So there's a balancing act that if you work with an advisor, we can help you kind of determine, should you take a lump sum or a monthly payment? Because it's kind of like Social Security. You get one chance.
Yeah, one shot.
And you want to make sure that you select the right option.
And here's the other question I was wondering. So do you get more money doing one option or the other? And can that be a little bit confusing as well? Like, do they say if you get monthly payments, it's a flat amount and then the lump sum is the same amount?
That's a good question. Now, you might be in a situation where you leave a company, you can take a lump sum. Maybe you're going to go work for 5 or 6 years. I'll just use that as an example. It could make sense that we could put it in some other investments where it's going to pay you more than the actual pension would.
Okay. Yeah.
However, if you probably want to sit there and say, hey, I want to retire in 30 days, since there was really no planning involved, odds are we probably can't give you more income out of that.
Okay.
Now, there's other things that kind of go into that. But the big question is if you can let the lump sum grow for a few years, potentially, it could actually do better than what that pension monthly income will pay out for you as well.
Okay, so there are risks, though, kind of to both, right? I mean, you have to weigh those, especially the lump sum, the monthly you're saying, like, it could go away, and that's a big risk, right?
It is a big risk. I mean, you definitely want to make sure you know what company you're working with, but who knows whether that company's still going to be as good as they are 15, 20 years from now. We're living longer, which means you need to make sure that money's going to be able to be there for you. But obviously there's some comfort knowing that I'm going to get this money every month.
Correct.
Right?
Okay, yeah.
And I think what it has to, a lot of it has to do with is how well have you really planned, right? And maybe you don't have an option because there was no planning involved up to this point. So I think the earlier that you get involved with your overall financial plan, then you're going to have other decisions to maybe make. The ultimate decision might be to take the lump sum, or it could be to take the monthly benefit. But until we kind of go through a process, and everyone's situation's different. But again, I think you just want to be able to make sure you understand what your options are and whether or not it benefits you and your family.
All right. Well, you can have a free consultation, complimentary meeting with Cory and his team. Go to safeharboroh.com. They've got 2 convenient locations for you there. So if you don't have a plan, certainly need to get one in order. Cory, thank you.
Thank you, Robin.